Tonight on Connecticut's news station, a daughter is heartbroken, saying her father intentionally killed her dog. Tonight, she exclusively shares her side of the story with us.
And concerns in the capital city surrounding the recent general election, why some of the mayoral race candidates are now calling for an independent audit of the results.
And Eversource electric prices are changing, but is there anything customers can do to actually save money? We'll take a look.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for the news at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. People from Connecticut whose family members have recently been killed in Gaza are calling for state congressional leaders to advocate for a ceasefire.
Yeah, they joined members of the Connecticut chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations outside Senator Chris Murphy's office earlier today.
Fox 61's Jake Garcia joins us live in Hartford with more on their message. Jake.
Well, Brent and Sarah, two Connecticut residents met with Senator Chris Murphy today after recently losing family members from Israeli military operations in Gaza. Now, Rawan Shahada lost 10 family members this past weekend when Israeli military tankers surrounded a maternity hospital in the central Gaza Strip. Two of her family members were doctors at that hospital. Her other relatives, who range in age from 13 to 53, were seeking shelter inside the hospital that also contained apartments when the bombing occurred. Now, the president of the Farmington Valley American Muslim Center in Avon says he has lost more than a dozen family members and says something has to change.
There is no safe haven in the Gaza Strip. No, not for children, not for women, not for civilians. This insanity has to stop. People of reason have to step in. Our politicians, our president. What Israel is doing now is not solving the problem. It is making it worse.
Senator Chris Murphy released a statement saying he was grateful for the meeting today and will continue to meet with Jewish and Muslim constituents who are impacted. Senator Murphy has recently urged Israel to change its approach in fighting Hamas, saying civilian deaths are far too high, although he fears a ceasefire will give Hamas a chance to regroup and carry out further attacks in Israel. We'll hear more from the two Connecticut residents who've lost family members recently in Gaza tonight on the news at 10 and 11. Live in Hartford, Jake Garcia, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Jake, thank you. We are following breaking news from New Hampshire now, where state police are reporting the suspect in a shooting at a hospital is dead. And this is happening at the New Hampshire hospital in the capital city of Concord, which is the state's psychiatric hospital. State police are reporting multiple victims in this shooting, but the extent of their injuries is not known at this point. We will continue to follow this breaking news and bring you any new information as we get it.
Now to a Fox 61 exclusive, a Wallingford woman is sharing her story. Her father has been charged in the death of her 2-year-old bulldog. At last check, Arnaldo Silva is still locked up. He already posted bond twice this week. Fox 61 New Haven County Bureau reporter Julia LeBlanc shares why his daughter wants justice to be served.
My whole life has flipped completely upside down due to this.
Gabriella Silva is grappling with emotions she never thought she'd have.
Not only do I lose, an animal that I've loved, very much, that I felt like I didn't get enough time with. I lost basically my family's torn apart.
On Monday night, police responded to her father's Northford home, finding her 2-year-old American bulldog Diesel dead. Police say 51-year-old Arnaldo Silva was covered in blood and under the influence. In Diesel's cage, investigators found a bloody kitchen knife. Gabriella making the call to 911.
He took something that he knew very well that how much Diesel meant to me. He knew, and he took that away.
The idea to get Diesel was actually her dad's. He called her about 1.5 years ago and surprised her.
It was instant when I met him. I can't even explain. I've never felt this love for an animal in my whole entire life, and I literally fell in love with him.
Gabriella says Diesel changed her life for the better, even strengthening her and her father's relationship after they lost touch because of his issues with alcohol. She says Arnaldo gets violent when he drinks, but never to this extent.
He has never given me any signs of abuse prior. If I knew, I would have, taken him out of the situation. That's my baby.
Now, Gabriella is using the strength she has left to stand up for Diesel as she searches for justice.
I want people to know that it's not okay to abuse animals because they're God's creatures, and you should never hurt them, and that if you do, that you will be penalized to the full extent of the law.
We spoke with her dad when he bonded out for the second time Thursday afternoon.
No, I tripped. I fell into my wall. I tripped over him. He's always around my feet. I drank too much and I fell off.
I'll never forget his face when he was sitting on the couch just staring at my dead dog. I'll never forget that. That is not somebody who did an accident. When you do an accident, you help. You do everything you can, and he did not help him. He stood there.
Arnaldo is facing charges of animal cruelty and threatening in the second degree. Now, he was arraigned this afternoon after police say he violated his terms of release for the second time this week. We are in North Branford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Julia. Hard to listen to. Well, breaking news from New Haven. Police have arrested a former police officer. He's accused of sexually assaulting a minor. Police have been investigating this case since March. They say Jeremy Elliott assaulted the victim between 2012 and 2014. Elliott was employed with the department from 2008 to 2021 as a school resource officer and a police athletic league officer. He was arraigned in court earlier today. In a statement, the New Haven police chief addressed the allegations, saying any type of behavior like this will not be tolerated.
The state police are looking to identify victims who took part in a fake medical study and who may also be sexual assault victims. Police are looking to talk to anyone who believed they were taking part in a medical study with this man, Brian Casella. Casella is accused of soliciting women for the study, which he made up. He would allegedly use various instruments, including his own hands and ears, to listen to the women's stomachs during their study sessions. Police say they found a hard drive in Casella's home that contained several recordings and photos of unidentified victims. If you recognize Casella and feel you were a victim, call state police, and all of those calls are confidential.
Now, the Fox 61 Weather Watch with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank.
Very warm outside today. Temperatures ended up climbing into the lower to middle 60s, but that's it. Bye-bye 60s. Cooler temperatures return heading into the weekend. Cooler but not cold, just really a return to average for November. But it is still quite warm outside right now. 60 degrees in the Hartford area. We're still in the upper 50s in Groton, middle 50s in Waterbury. Taking a look, you can clearly see what looks like a boatload of rain heading this way. However, it's kind of misleading because even though this front looks really decent right now, it's going to start to fizzle by the time it gets closer to Connecticut. So there is a chance for a couple spotty showers as we head into tomorrow morning, but overall most of the time is going to be dry. Low temperatures tonight, not all that low. We're only dropping back towards 50 as we head towards daybreak tomorrow. So it is a mild start right out of the gate. Chance for an early morning shower. This is 7 a.m., 8 a.m. But as we head through the midday, clouds break for sunshine. It will turn breezy and cooler by afternoon with temperatures in the lower 50s here by 2 p.m. But overall, nice weather to spend outside. And we got another one on the way for Sunday. We're going to talk about, though, what could be a burden next week, a big old rain and wind storm. Your full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. If you're an Eversource customer, we have news that will impact your wallet. Electric prices are changing.
And depending on how you look at it, it could be considered good or bad news. Fox 61's Matt Karen is in Berlin with what you need to know.
But what happens here at Eversource is they go out into the energy marketplace and purchase your electricity at a fixed rate once every 6 months. So all these upcoming changes you'll see on every bill from January to June. Eversource electric prices are changing. The good news, it's a lot less than this time last year. The bad news, it's still more than you're paying now.
You gotta have it. You gotta have a refrigerator going, you gotta have your heat, so everything else is going up, so.
Why not one more thing?
Why not? There's not much you can do about it. You can't switch electric companies.
But you can switch your supplier. Based on current rates, customers can save about $12 a month going with a third-party supplier through Energize CT. And since Eversource doesn't profit off the supply side of your bill, they encourage you to do it.
Because of last winter's pricing, most likely, and the fact that we've been trying to encourage customers to make that move, right now about 23% of our customers take advantage of EnergizeCT.com and get their own energy supplier.
So starting January 1st, your bill will go up by an average of 3% or $6 a month. It's still 39% lower than this time last year when the war in Ukraine stopped the flow of Russian oil to Europe and the global market causing bills to spike.
We have central air and a pool, so our bill was close to $400.
It's why Marianne DiBenedetto went solar.
We cut our bill in 2/3. We pay a little bit to Eversource every month and a leasing fee to the company, but it's still 2/3 less than what we're paying. I would highly recommend it to anybody.
And if you're having trouble making ends meet, there is help available.
Customers who are in households that are low income will either get a 10% or 50% discount off their total bill.
And as for whether you qualify for that 10 or 50% off your total bill, really depends on how much money you make. You're going to want to check with Connecticut 211 or Eversource for the details on that. And as for the second half of your bill, the delivery charge, well, Eversource does profit off of that. But they told us today that charge is staying flat. It will not be going up. Reporting outside Eversource headquarters in Berlin, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, new tonight, some of the recent Hartford mayoral candidates are calling for an independent audit of the 2023 general election results. Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst spoke with the candidates today about why they say this race needs to be investigated.
The petitioning and write-in candidates gathered here outside City Hall this morning, raising concerns about mistrust and lack of faith in the city's elections.
The integrity of this process is in question.
J. Stan McCauley was a petitioning candidate in the 2023 Hartford mayoral race. He received 443 votes in the November 7th general election, just about 6% of the vote. But that wasn't his total when the unofficial counts were first released on election night.
If I don't know what happened, then how can I have faith in the very system I'm telling others to believe in?
McCauley isn't the only one raising concerns. Fellow petitioning candidate Nick LeBron and write-in hopeful Eric Coleman's vote counts also changed by a few hundred once the results were made official.
What we have is a breakdown of systematic processes that was supposed to ensure checks and balances.
Election officials at the registrar's office call these changes a clerical error, saying there was an issue with the candidates' names appearing on the wrong lines. But LeBron's camp argues they notified the registrar and Secretary of the State's office about the problem back in October.
We are to believe that the test runs of the machines didn't catch this mistake weeks before the election. Perception is just as important as reality. And right now, this does nothing for that.
I reached out to the Secretary of the State's office. Secretary Stephanie Thomas called this an inadvertent data entry error. She said most people do not realize the many steps required to set up an election. This is why the law allows town election officials time to correct their returns and why results are not official on election night. The Secretary's office also noted they do not have the authority to conduct an independent investigation. Reporting in Hartford, Emma Wolfhorst, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.